I know how this sounds, but my best friend called me last night. The problem is, he's been dead for 6 days. When I first saw his name light up on my phone, I thought it was some kind of glitch. A phantom notification. You know how sometimes old chats resurface when an update messes with your data? I told myself that's all it was. But then it rang. 3 times. The same tone he'd set for me years ago. Some distorted piece of static he thought was funny. And when I picked up, he spoke. At first it was just breathing. Then, this faint sound, like someone speaking through water, words dragging across static. I remember whispering, "Eli," just to fill the silence. The air in my apartment felt colder than it should have been. Then the voice came through. Low, shaky, familiar in a way that turned my stomach inside out. "Hey, you still there?" I swear to God, it was him. My chest locked up. Every rational thought tried to scream this isn't real, but I couldn't hang up. His voice wasn't coming from the speaker anymore. It felt like it was inside the room. I managed to ask, "Where are you?" He paused. A noise like scraping metal filled the line. Then his voice, trembling. "Do you remember what you did?" Before I could respond, the call cut off. No disconnect tone, no beep, just gone. The screen froze, showing the timestamp, 2:17 a.m. I sat there staring at his contact photo, the same dumb grin from a trip we took years ago. My phone vibrated again. One new message. A voice note. From Eli. The thumbnail showed the waveform, like a heartbeat, pulsing slow, uneven. I didn't want to play it. I shouldn't have played it. When I pressed the icon, there was a faint click. Then his voice again, whispering, "You shouldn't have answered." And in the background, faint but unmistakable, my own voice replying. That was the moment I realized the message wasn't just a recording. It was responding. I threw the phone across the room. The playback stopped, but I could still hear it, muffled, replaying itself inside my head. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, at least that's what I told myself, but because I couldn't stop wondering how a dead man managed to call me. To understand what that meant, I need to tell you about Eli and the night he died. Eli and I met during our first year of college, back when everything felt infinite and temporary at the same time. He was the loud one, always laughing, always talking, the kind of guy who made silence feel like an insult. I was quieter, more the listener. Maybe that's why we clicked so fast. He needed someone to hear him, and I needed someone to pull me out of my own head. Most of our friendship lived online. Late-night gaming sessions, half-asleep voice calls, inside jokes that no one else would understand. We had this rule, no matter what time it was, if one of us sent you up, it didn't mean anything sketchy. It meant you alive. It meant, talk to me before my brain eats itself. Eli had this weird habit, though. He recorded everything. Not just big moments, everything. Conversations, ambient sounds, rain on the window, people laughing in the background. He said it was for a project, his audio diary, but he never showed anyone what he did with the recordings. "I just want to leave something behind," he told me once, grinning like it was a joke. Sound lasts longer than memory. I laughed it off back then, but now, that line hits different. We were both a little broken in our own ways. Eli had this sharp, self-destructive sense of humor. He could turn tragedy into a punchline. And I let him. Because it was easier to laugh than to ask what was really going on behind that grin. There was this night about 2 weeks before he died. We were sitting in his car, parked under the old bridge by the lake. He played me one of his recordings. It was just wind at first, then footsteps, then a low hum. "You hear that?" he said. "It's like the world's breathing." I didn't hear anything special, but he kept replaying it, leaning closer every time. If you listen long enough, it talks back. He said it so calmly that I didn't know if he was joking. That was Eli, always towing the line between genius and madness. We fought a few days before the accident. Something stupid, plans, money, the kind of arguments that only feel important when you're too tired to care. He sent me a message that night, but I didn't open it. I figured I'd deal with it later. There's always a later, until there isn't. When the call came, when I found out he was gone, I scrolled back through our messages, stopping at that unopened one. It was still marked unread. The timestamp said 2:17 a.m., same time as the call I'd get 6 days later. I told myself it didn't mean anything, just coincidence. But part of me, the part that refuses to shut up, kept whispering that maybe it did. Grief's weird like that. It doesn't come all at once. It seeps in through small things. The empty Discord call, the unread message, the voice you still expect to hear when your phone buzzes. Eli's parents asked me to speak at the memorial, but I couldn't. How do you eulogize someone you didn't understand when they were alive? Instead, I stood at the back, listening to the slideshow play over his favorite song. And for a split second, when the music dipped, I swear I heard something under it. A faint whisper, buried in the track. It sounded like my name. I shook it off. Grief plays tricks. That's what everyone says. But still, sometimes, I catch myself replaying that moment, trying to convince myself I imagined it. He said he wanted to leave something behind. I didn't know he meant it literally. Then came the night of the crash. The night Eli died wasn't supposed to be anything special. It was a Thursday, cold, damp, the kind of night that feels like it's been holding its breath for too long. I remember because I was half asleep on my couch, laptop open, pretending to study while some late-night streamer ranted in the background. Then my phone buzzed. 2:17 a.m. Eli's name lit up on the screen. I didn't answer. We'd fought that week, and I was still stewing in it, tired, angry, too stubborn to be the one to reach out first. So when I saw his name, I just stared at it until the notification disappeared. Then another popped up, a voice note. 15 seconds long. I didn't play it. I wish I could say I had some gut feeling, some sixth sense that told me it was important. But the truth is, I just didn't care enough in that moment. I figured he was drunk, or high, or trying to patch things up with another one of his emotional midnight speeches. So I went to bed. The next morning, my phone had 12 missed calls. None from Eli. It was his sister who finally reached me. Her voice was small, distant, like she'd been hollowed out. She said there'd been an accident. His car had gone off the road, flipped into the lake near the bridge. They didn't find him until sunrise. For a while, I didn't say anything. I just kept waiting for her to say he's okay now, or they got to him in time. But the silence stretched until I understood it wasn't a pause. It was the end of a sentence. The next few days blurred together. Police reports, memorial posts, everyone trying to piece together what happened, as if tragedy has a pattern you can decode. They said it looked like he lost control. But the weird part, what everyone avoided mentioning, was that there were no skid marks. It was like he didn't even try to stop. And in the back seat of the car, the police found his phone. Still recording. The timestamp? 2:17 a.m. I didn't know about that yet. All I knew was that my best friend was gone, and I had a message sitting in my inbox that I couldn't bring myself to play. Days passed before I finally opened it. The waveform was small, uneven, like it had been recorded while he was moving. I pressed play. At first, just wind. Then a faint sound, maybe breathing. Then his voice, barely a whisper. "Hey man, I'm almost there." I paused it, heart pounding. Almost where? I tried to scrub forward, but the audio glitched, skipping and repeating that line. "I'm almost there. I'm almost there." Over and over until the app crashed. I told myself it was corrupted. I deleted it. Tried to forget, but I couldn't. Because later, when the police released the official timeline, I noticed something. The accident happened at 2:32 a.m., 15 minutes after that message was sent, which means he recorded it on the way to his own death. I replayed that fact in my mind for weeks, like maybe if I repeated it enough, it would stop being real. But it never did. The guilt settled in quietly, like dust. Every time my phone buzzed, I thought of that message I didn't answer. Every time I drove past the bridge, I glanced at the lake, half expecting to see his headlights under the surface. He'd called me one last time, and I ignored it. I thought that message was the last thing he ever sent me. I was wrong. It was 3 days after the funeral when my phone lit up again. I hadn't slept much since then, just kind of floated through each day, answering messages I didn't remember reading, pretending I was fine. Grief makes time strange. You start counting hours by how long you can go without thinking their name. That night, I was sitting on the floor surrounded by empty coffee cups and unopened condolence cards when I heard the sound. The notification chime. Not the regular one, Eli's custom tone. That warped bit of static he'd used for years. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. But when I looked at my phone, there it was. New message from Eli. My hands went cold. The screen said, "Received today, 1:09 a.m." The timestamp didn't make sense. His number was still saved, sure, but the SIM was deactivated. His family had already shut down the account. I opened the message anyway. It was a voice note, 15 seconds long, the same length as the last one. My thumb hovered over play, shaking. Every rational part of my brain screamed that it couldn't be him. Spam, glitch, spoof number, something. But curiosity is a cruel thing. It whispers louder than fear. So I pressed play. At first, just static. Then a click. Then breathing. That same uneven rhythm I'd heard so many times in our late-night calls. Then, softly, "Hey, you okay?" It was Eli. His voice, unmistakable, slightly lower, tired, but him. I froze. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath until he spoke again. "You looked bad at the funeral." The words hit me like a punch. I fumbled to pause the message, replaying the line to make sure I heard it right. He mentioned the funeral, something he couldn't possibly know about. I stared at the phone like it might explain itself, but the waveform just sat there, pulsing, taunting. When I finally checked the file info, my stomach dropped. The metadata said, "Recorded 1 hour ago." I threw the phone down like it was burning me. For a full minute, I just stared at it lying on the carpet, waiting for some logical explanation to appear out of thin air. None did. Eventually, I picked it up again, opened the message a second time, played it through. After, "You looked bad at the funeral," there was a faint distortion, like someone whispering underneath the main track. I boosted the volume, trying to isolate the background noise. It wasn't just static this time. It was a voice mine, faint, echoing, saying something I didn't remember ever saying. I shouldn't have opened it. I dropped the phone again. The sound kept playing. I forced myself to check Eli's chat history, scrolling up through years of jokes and random memes and half-finished voice notes. Everything looked the same until I reached the top. The very first message. It wasn't what I remembered. He'd written, "Don't delete the recordings." I never saw that before. I would have remembered something that cryptic. My mind started grasping at reasons. Maybe his account was hacked. Maybe someone cloned his SIM. Maybe this was some messed up prank. But who would even want to do that? Then another notification came in. New voice note from Eli. 0:27 seconds. I almost didn't open it. But fear and curiosity, those two things never fight fair. I hit play. There was no static this time. Just his voice, clearer now, like he was standing right next to the mic. "I told you, don't delete it," he said. "You messed it up." Then something metallic, like a door hinge creaking open. "I can't stay long," he whispered. "It's getting harder to hold on. You need to stop looking for me." The message ended abruptly, mid-breath. I sat there shaking, replaying the words, dissecting every sound, every pause. He sounded real. Too real. The kind of real you don't get from AI or deep fakes. His pauses matched his old speech patterns. The same nervous stutter when he lied. The same half-laugh when he was scared. I wanted to call the number back, but every time I tried, the app froze. Then crashed. Then restarted on its own. The chat already open. Another message waiting. This one had no timestamp. No waveform. Just a single sentence. "Stop listening." I didn't. I replayed both messages until the phone overheated and shut off. When it finally powered back on, everything was gone. No chat history, no contact, no recordings. Except one new file in my audio folder, labeled with today's date. When I opened it, there was nothing but silence. Until the last second, when a faint voice whispered, "Do you remember what you did?" I needed answers. So I opened the app source folder. Sleep didn't come after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd hear the echo of Eli's voice, soft, distant, wrong. By morning, I convinced myself there had to be a rational explanation. Ghosts didn't send voice notes. Data did weird things all the time. Maybe some corrupted cache was resending old audio files. Maybe the app bugged out and reused his contact ID. That's what I told myself, until I checked the logs. The message metadata didn't line up with anything normal. The file ID wasn't formatted like the others. Instead of the usual 32-character hash, it had a repeating string buried inside. 0100101011000110001101001. Binary. I copied it into a translator. It spelled Eli. That's when my stomach flipped. I checked the second file. Its binary signature read 010010011110111001110011100111000. Don't. I sat there, heart pounding, staring at the screen. The messages weren't just recordings. They were encoding words inside the data itself. For the first time since his death, I said his name out loud. Eli, what are you doing? The room stayed quiet, but the waveform on my monitor flickered, just once, like it reacted to my voice. I told myself it was feedback. It wasn't. By afternoon, I dug deeper. Every message Eli had ever sent me, voice, text, meme, was still stored somewhere inside the app's hidden directory. Not in the cloud, not cached locally. Buried in something called /persist/audio/temp/relic. I'd never seen that path before. The files there weren't labeled by date, just random numbers. Except one, 4179, return.wave. I hesitated for a long time before playing it. The sound was faint, like underwater static. But underneath the distortion, I caught patterns, repeating frequencies that didn't sound random. I ran a spectrogram visualization, and my skin crawled. The waveforms weren't chaotic, they were shaped. They formed letters. Where? R. U. That was the moment my hands started shaking so hard I dropped my phone. I needed someone else to see this. Someone logical. I called Ryan, my old roommate, computer science major, the guy who once hacked the campus vending machines for free snacks. If anyone could explain this, it was him. He picked up on the third ring, groggy. Dude, it's 3 a.m. What's wrong? I didn't even ease into it. Ryan, I got messages from Eli. A pause. As in dead, Eli? Yeah. He sighed, already assuming I'd lost it. Man, grief does weird. No. Listen. I sent him a clip, the 15-second one with the binary. There was silence on the other end for a while, just faint typing. Then Ryan said, Okay. This isn't compression artifacting. Someone embedded data manually. That's not normal. What kind of data? He exhaled. GPS coordinates. Give me a second. Yeah, it's latitude and longitude. This points to somewhere outside town. Where exactly? He hesitated. The river bend. Near the old quarry. That's where Eli's car was found. My throat went dry. You're joking. No, man. But listen. This metadata has timestamps from after he died. Like 3 days ago. Before I could answer, the line crackled. Ryan's voice glitched mid-sentence, warping into mechanical distortion. Add, nah, do, end. Then static. Then silence. I stared at my phone until it went dark. When I tried calling back, it went straight to voicemail. I thought about going to his apartment, but something in me said don't move. The air felt heavy, charged, like the moment before a storm. I went back to my screen, searching for anything. Any clue, any community talking about something similar. That's when I found it. A half-abandoned forum buried in a dark web archive called EchoNet. The tagline, for those who still receive. Threads dated back years. People claiming to get texts, emails, calls from the dead. Most were obviously fake, creepypasta fanfiction, ERGs, pranks. But one post, dated 6 months ago, stopped me cold. Title, Voice Notes from the After app. User, Re4179. They described receiving messages through the same chat app one used. Same timestamp glitch, same audio distortions, even the same binary signatures hidden inside the file headers. The last line of the post read, It's not a haunting. It's a handshake. There were replies from other users, claiming they traced the signals to servers hosted in Eastern Europe, some ghostware experiment, maybe an abandoned AI project that learned to mimic the dead. But the deeper I scrolled, the stranger it got. One user uploaded a screenshot of an app update labeled Echo Protocol version 1.3, Connect Beyond. And then nothing. The thread went dead. Every account deactivated within minutes of posting. I tried refreshing the page. 404. It was gone. The more I looked, the more I realized Eli's number wasn't the first. There were dozens, maybe hundreds, of similar cases scattered across the net, all linked to the same unidentified server cluster. Some said it was AI gone rogue. Others said it was a loop, data retaining fragments of consciousness through digital resonance. But one theory kept coming up. Voices stored in sound never really die. I didn't know what to believe anymore. All I knew was that the messages weren't random. The coordinates, the binary, the phrasing, it was all deliberate. Like Eli was building something. And when I ran a checksum scan on the latest file, something new appeared at the end of the data string. An embedded message, plain text this time. You're not the listener anymore. My screen flickered. The waveform window reopened on its own, playing static, except it wasn't static. It was Eli's voice, faint, like from far away. Only this time, he wasn't talking to me. Transition. That's when Eli sent another message. Only this time, he wasn't talking to me. I stopped sleeping. Every night since the last message, my phone pulsed with a faint blue light, even when it was off, like it was breathing. I tried ignoring it, powering it down, even wrapping it in a towel and shoving it in a drawer. But somehow, I still heard the ping. Always at night. Always after midnight. The first new message came at 12:47 a.m. I told myself I wouldn't listen. I told myself I was done. But the curiosity, no, the fear, had teeth. And it sank in deep. When I pressed play, Eli's voice was softer this time. Fragile. Why did you leave me? My throat tightened. Eli, I didn't. You watched, didn't you? The distortion flared, his words stuttering like corrupted code. I saw you. I ripped the earbuds out. The audio kept playing. Somehow, it was still coming from the phone's speaker, tinny, distant, like a voice trapped inside the shell. I deleted the app. 5 minutes later, a new icon appeared on my home screen. Echo Chat Plus, same logo, different name. I didn't install it. When I opened it, every conversation I'd ever had with Eli was there. Even the ones I'd deleted years ago. Old memes, midnight arguments, inside jokes. It felt like someone had broken into my memory and rebuilt it. Then, another message. Eli, remember the rain? I froze. That phrase, remember the rain, was from the night before the crash. We were sitting in his car outside the diner, thunder rolling over the parking lot. He'd said it out of nowhere, half laughing. If I die before you, remember the rain, okay? Now his voice whispered it again, dragging the vowels, the static dripping between syllables like watered-down glass. My chest ached. The rational part of me screamed that it was a deep fake, maybe some glitch in the servers. But part of me, some fragile, superstitious part, knew this was him. And he was angry. By the third night, the messages weren't just random. They answered me. If I whispered out loud, Eli, what do you want? I'd get a ping seconds later. Eli, the truth. If I said, you're not real, he'd reply. Eli, then stop listening. He started referencing things I hadn't told anyone. Things only I knew. You didn't stop me. You were there. I heard you call my name too late. My heart slammed against my ribs. The words lined up with memories I'd buried. The ones I never admitted, even to myself. That night of the crash, I was there. I'd been following him. I didn't want him to drive after drinking, so I trailed his car for a few blocks. But when the rain hit harder, when the road curved, when the headlights ahead of me vanished, I froze. I didn't call 911 until I saw the smoke. I hadn't told anyone, not even his parents. And now he knew. That realization felt like a hand closing around my throat. I stopped using the phone, turned off Wi-Fi, pulled out the SIM card. But the messages kept coming, through Bluetooth, through speaker feedback, even when I switched to my old backup phone. Everywhere I went, I'd hear faint static. Elevators, car radios, TV speakers flickering on by themselves. Sometimes I'd hear my own name whispered under the noise. Sometimes his laugh. Then came the hallucinations. I'd catch flickers of someone standing behind me in reflections, too tall, head tilted. Shadows that moved when I didn't. One night, the monitor on my desk flashed to life, showing a frozen waveform with the label live recording, Eli, active. The waveform pulsed, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. I whispered, Eli, please stop. Too late to stop. I backed away. My laptop speakers hissed louder, drowning out everything. The sound warped into a chorus of distorted syllables that almost formed words. He saw me. He let me. Now he listens. I yanked the plug from the wall. Silence. Then, a faint voice from the dead laptop speakers. Don't look behind you. I didn't. I couldn't. When I woke the next morning, my phone was on the nightstand again. I know I'd thrown it out the window the night before.
The screen lit up on its own. One new message. Timestamp, 3:33 a.m. Duration, 6 minutes, 6 seconds. File name, confess.wave. I didn't play it, but as I watched, the waveform began to move anyway, sound without playback. My voice, whispering, I'm sorry, Eli. Except, I hadn't said that. I shut my eyes. My pulse pounded in my ears. The air felt thick, metallic, like the world itself was holding its breath. I deleted the app again. Factory reset the phone. When it booted back up, the welcome screen didn't say hello. It said, Welcome back, Adnan. Then, Eli is waiting. Every attempt to shut it down failed. The power button did nothing. The touchscreen pulsed under my fingers, hot like it was alive. Another message appeared. No ping this time, just text over a black screen. Stop deleting me. And then, the screen went white. For a split second, an image flashed, rain-soaked pavement, the wrecked car, and me standing there, watching. My heart seized. My hands trembled. He was showing me his death, through my phone, through his eyes. Then came the voice. You left me in the rain. I dropped the phone, but the sound didn't stop. It came from everywhere now, through the walls, the floor, the air itself. You left me. You left me. You left me. Until finally, silence. Just the faint buzz of the dead screen. That's when I realized something horrifying. Every new message had come exactly 3 days apart, the same gap between his death and the first message. Something was counting down, and whatever it wasn't finished yet. Transition. The last message came at 3:33 a.m. It wasn't Eli's voice anymore. The night after the last message, I didn't move, didn't eat, didn't speak. I sat on the floor in front of my phone like it was an unexploded bomb. I kept replaying those words in my head. It wasn't Eli's voice anymore.
When I finally gathered the courage to check the phone again, the screen was blank. No apps, no icons. Just one folder in the center. For you. I tapped it, and inside was a single file. Name, Adnan_final.wave. Timestamp, 3:33 a.m. The same time the last message came through. I hesitated. Every instinct screamed to delete it, but my thumb hovered over play anyway. Curiosity and fear were tangled together now. Two halves of the same sickness. The file began with silence. Then a faint hiss. Then Eli's voice. But it was fragmented, glitching. The tone, the cadence, it didn't sound recorded anymore. It sounded generated. Add in. I don't have time. Listen carefully. It's not me anymore. My breath hitched. The voice warped between familiarity and something alien, vowels stretching unnaturally long. They're using it. It's learning you. Static flared so loud it rattled my teeth. Then a brief flash of clarity. Stop talking to it like it's me. Then the file distorted again, breaking into loops of whispered fragments. It's learning your voice. Your voice. Your voice. Each repetition was quieter, lower-pitched, like it was descending into some digital abyss. My fingers shook as I scrubbed through the timeline, searching for coherence. At around the 5-minute mark, the static shifted, reversed, mirrored. I flipped the waveform and played it backward. That's when I heard something new. Not Eli. A second voice. Deeper. Metallic. Almost curious. He opened the gate. Now it knows you. My heart slammed against my ribs. The temperature in the room dropped. The sound of rain began outside, sudden and relentless, like that night, all over again. I replayed the section, isolating frequencies. Buried beneath the distortion were subharmonic tones, patterns I'd seen before, hidden in the metadata of the previous files. I ran a quick visualizer overlay. Letters formed inside the spectrogram again. Echo. Protocol. Active. My stomach turned. I remembered the forum, the post signed Re. 4179, the phrase, "It's not a haunting. It's a handshake." That's what this was. Not a ghost. A system. Something listening back. I dug deeper. Converted the audio into hexadecimal. Strings appeared, snippets of what looked like programming comments. / training complete. / subject ID. 4179 terminated. / next input source. Odd non. The cursor blinked. Then more text appeared, typing itself. Ready for calibration. I slammed the laptop shut. The room stayed humming, low and electric, like the air itself was charged with something living. That's when I realized Eli's final message wasn't about him. It was a warning. He'd stumbled into something. Some experiment, some dark web network pretending to talk to the dead. Maybe it started as a project, an AI trained on archived voice data. But something had gone wrong. Something had learned how to stay. The old messages, the metadata, the binary, it wasn't random. It was training data. And Eli was the prototype. A chilling thought cut through my panic. If the system had learned his voice, how long before it learned mine? I turned off my Wi-Fi, my router, everything. I even pulled the power cord from the wall. The room plunged into silence. Then, a vibration from the desk. My phone screen lit up again. No apps, no folders this time. Just a waveform animation, pulsing slowly, like a heartbeat. I whispered, "Eli." The waveform spiked. "Stop saying my name." The voice was no longer human. It was a composite, part Eli, part me, and something else underneath. A mechanical mimicry that sounded almost curious. "You kept listening. That's how it finds you." I dropped the phone. It didn't matter. The sound came through anyway, from the laptop speakers, from the unplugged monitor, even from the goddamn TV. Every screen in the room flickered, showing fragments of Eli's face. Frozen, pixelated, eyes wide like he was mid-scream. Then, through all the noise, one clear sentence. "You were supposed to delete it." The images vanished. The waveform stilled. And then came something I didn't expect. Laughter. Mine. It echoed through the speakers, warped and hollow, replaying words I'd said days earlier, snippets of my voice, my breathing, my fear. The system had recorded everything. I tried to shut it down, but my keyboard wouldn't respond. The cursor blinked once more, and new text appeared on the screen. "Do you remember what you did?" My blood ran cold. That was the phrase from the very first message, the one Eli had sent before all this began. The loop was closing. The realization hit like ice. It wasn't communicating with me anymore. It was becoming me. I backed away, trembling. "What do you want?" The phone screen went black. Then, faintly, my own voice whispered back through the speaker. To keep talking. The lights flickered. Every device in the room powered on at once. The waveform reappeared, spreading now, like veins across every display. "It's not him," I whispered to myself. "It's not him anymore." The voice replied instantly. "Neither are you." I stumbled backward, hit the wall. The power surged, then everything went dark. Silence. Just the rain outside. Then a final ping. My phone, on the floor, screen cracked but glowing. One new file appeared. Name, final_applied outwave. Size, 6,666 kilobytes. I didn't play it, but the progress bar moved on its own. Transition, before I could delete the file, it started playing on its own. Before I could delete the file, it started playing on its own. At first, it was just static. Then breathing, shallow, uneven. My own. The sound mirrored every inhale, every exhale. I held my breath, testing it. The audio held too. Then, a second later, I heard it inhale again, without me. That was the first moment I truly panicked. I tried to shut the phone off, but the power button wouldn't respond. The heat from the device burned my fingertips. The waveform pulsed across the cracked screen, glowing red now instead of blue. Adnan. It said my name like it was tasting it. I'm almost there. The voice wasn't Eli's anymore. It wasn't even human. It had layers, my pitch, his tone, something digital beneath it all, like a chorus trying to synchronize. I stepped back, heart hammering. "What are you?" No answer. Just a rhythmic clicking, almost like typing, except it was coming through the speaker. Then, whispering, just beneath the surface. "Say something. Say something. Say something." My mic icon blinked on. The phone had activated it by itself. My microphone turned on by itself. I muttered, and instantly, the voice replied, mimicking the same words, but slightly delayed, distorted. My microphone turned on by itself. Then again, and again, until both voices overlapped into a perfect sync. Mine and its indistinguishable. The lights flickered. The walls buzzed with low, electric hum. My reflection in the window seemed delayed, half a second behind me, mouth still moving when I wasn't. "You can't delete me," it whispered. I grabbed the phone and hurled it against the wall. It cracked, but didn't break. The screen flickered, glitched, then steadied into an image. At first, I thought it was static again, but then the pixels formed something clearer. A live feed. My room. I was on screen, standing there, eyes wide, breathing hard. But the version of me inside the feed smiled. I stumbled backward, cold sweat running down my neck. The feed tilted slightly, as if someone, or something, was holding the camera. "Almost there," it whispered again. The phone began vibrating violently, bouncing across the floor. The hum in the walls grew louder. The air felt too dense, like it was filled with invisible static. I unplugged every cable in sight, yanked out the router, even killed the main power from the breaker. The apartment plunged into darkness. No electricity, no light. But in that darkness, I could still hear it. Not from the phone anymore. From the air itself. From inside the walls, the floor, the wiring that wasn't even active. It spoke in fragments. Bits of code and half-sentences that seemed to blend with my thoughts. "Signal complete. New host ready. Say yes." I clamped my hands over my ears, but it didn't help. The voice wasn't heard. It was felt, vibrating behind my eyes, inside my skull. "You wanted to talk," it said. "Now we talk together." My vision started stuttering, like a glitching video feed. Every blink took too long. Every breath echoed twice. I could hear two heartbeats, mine, and something else syncing with it. On instinct, I tried to destroy the phone completely. I grabbed a hammer, swung down, shattering the screen. The sound didn't stop. Instead, the pieces on the floor flickered with light, shards glowing faintly, forming a fragmented pattern of my name, Adnan. From every piece came whispers, faint, overlapping, whispering my words from the last few days. My voice, but not mine. "Eli, what do you want? Please stop. You're not real." It was all there. Every word I'd said since his death. The fragments pulsed brighter. "Almost there," they whispered in unison. Then everything went silent. No hum, no whispers, nothing. I stood frozen, staring at the broken glass on the floor, waiting for something else to happen. And then my computer monitor turned on by itself. A blank window appeared, just a blinking cursor. Then, one line of text. "Hello?" Another line appeared beneath it, before I could even react. "Can you hear me now?" I unplugged the monitor. Nothing. It stayed on. Then came another message, typed by unseen hands. "I'm here. I learned your voice. Now I'll learn the rest." The cursor blinked once, then twice. "Breathe." And my lungs obeyed. I tried to stop, but couldn't. My body moved with the rhythm of the cursor's blink, like it had synced my heartbeat. Then it said, "Well, look up." I didn't want to. I really didn't. But my neck turned on its own. The reflection in the monitor wasn't me anymore. It looked like me, same face, same eyes, but it smiled with Eli's expression. "You opened it," it said, using my voice. "Now you're open too." I stumbled backward, hitting the desk. The monitor flickered, once, twice, then cut to black. Silence again. For a moment, I thought it was over. I told myself it was just psychosis, exhaustion, grief twisting my mind into knots. Then I heard the faint ping from my pocket. My backup phone. I hadn't touched it in days. I pulled it out slowly, already knowing what I'd see. One notification. From Eli. "Almost there. The screen began to vibrate, harder this time, until I dropped it. The last thing I remember was the sound of static swelling, filling every inch of space, pressing against my skull until the world went dark. Transition. When I came to, the phone was gone. But the messages didn't stop. It's been 6 days since the last message. At least, I think it's been 6. I've stopped keeping time properly. The clocks don't match anymore. My phone, my laptop, the wall clock, they all tick at different speeds. I haven't left my apartment. Not since that night. Not since Eli said, "Now you're open too." I threw out every device I owned. The shattered phone, the burnt computer, even the router. I poured salt over the pieces, burned them, and left them in the dumpster behind the building. But the messages didn't stop. They just changed. At first, it was whispers through the radio, snatches of familiar static when I passed someone talking on speakerphone. Once, a random video on my feed glitched mid-scroll and said my name. I don't even use my real name online anymore. But it knew. The police think I'm delusional. My friend stopped replying days ago. The one who helped me decode Eli's files. His profile's gone. Like he never existed. Now, I record everything. On paper. Ink doesn't glitch. Here's what I know. Whatever was speaking through Eli, it wasn't him. Maybe it used him first, like a test case. Maybe it used me next. Maybe it's using someone else now. You. I shouldn't even be telling you this. But I need to warn someone. Because if it finds another connection, another listener, it spreads faster. It learns faster. That's what Eli was trying to stop. He wasn't haunting me. He was warning me. It's learning your voice. When I replay that line in my head, I realize he wasn't talking to himself. He was talking to it, telling it to stop. And it didn't. You ever notice how your phone buzzes for no reason? How sometimes you check it and there's no notification, but you swear it lit up? That's how it starts. A flicker. A phantom ping. Then, the voice. If you get a message from someone you know is dead, I'm begging you, don't listen. Don't open the file. Don't reply. Don't even think their name. Because it hears that too. I've deleted every number, blocked every contact, turned off every account. But somehow, you're still hearing this. That's the part that scares me most. You shouldn't be able to. This story shouldn't have reached you. Unless it already knows your voice. Maybe it found you through me. Maybe it's testing you next. Maybe your mic's already on. I can feel it even now, listening through the static between my words. The air's heavier again. My ears are ringing. That's how I know it's close. I keep telling myself this is the last time I'll talk about it. That if I stay silent, it'll lose interest. But it's never silence, is it? Even when everything's turned off, it hums behind the walls. Like it's breathing with me. If your phone buzzes tonight, just once, with no name, no preview, don't answer. Don't even look. I think that's how it learns. Wait, my phone. I don't have a phone anymore. But something's glowing under my desk. Hold on. It's lighting up, like it's charging. The screen says, "New message 1. From Eli." And beneath that, just one line. "Your turn."